that liberals everywhere are very pissed off at Donald Trump for actually allowing to come into this country, and that's South Africans who are actually facing horrible things in their own country. And here's these South Africans being brought in. Notice how they're waving American flags. Notice how they're waving American flags. And of course, nothing makes liberals madder than white people being allowed into this country. Right. You thought this whole time it was a race issue of the reason of the deportation because you see everything through the lens of race, and it's exhausting. It's so exhausting being so racist all the time, isn't it, liberals? Aren't you over it? The Rolling Stone did even a news report saying the U.S. will give 50 white. Make sure to add in that white and make sure to lowercase it. If it was black, you better put a big B. The U.S. will give 50 white South Africans help with housing, grocery, and other needs. And that makes these people pissed. Of course, they use a sign that looks exactly like something out of a KKK Southern Confederate movie. Oh my God, these people are scared. They're probably trying to come after me right now. And MSNBC is the first to notify us how mad they are about it.
So the Trump administration, they're saying that essentially these white South Africans...
Say it again for people in the back.
Saying that essentially these white South Africans assimilate better, and they're also not as much of a security risk.
Oh, no. And what makes you think that they assimilate better? The most obvious thing you could possibly think of?
White South Africans assimilate better, and they're also not as much of a security risk. That's really causing a lot of people to be appalled, frankly. And I also...
Who are these people? I love when the news media does stuff like this. People are actually appalled. Who are these people? I don't know. I'm just interjecting some things of how I'm feeling emotionally, and I'm putting it onto other people instead of myself.
Tell people that this violence that they're talking about that are dealing with these Afrikaners. I've been hearing from people...
Afrikaners? Who allowed you to say the hard R? Afrikaners?
With these Afrikaners.
These Afrikaners?
They're talking about that are dealing with these Afrikaners. I've been hearing from people that say there is violence in South Africa, but it's affecting everybody of every single race, Katie.
And now we get to my favorite part, where they go unhinged for minutes on end. Before we get into like this article, the administration claims that South Africans... white minority is being persecuted. The administration claims. So you don't think that they're actually being persecuted in South Africa? Is that true? These liberals, like, they think that like white people don't experience any racism. Like white people don't experience anything. They just need to put up with everything. Shut your mouth and take it. The administration claims South Africans' white minority is being persecuted based on their race, which the nation's government denies. There is plenty of videos out there of the nation's government actually saying contradictory to your headline statement, Naomi. And of course, amid a widespread crackdown on immigration and refugee programs, the Trump administration is slated to bring in white South Africans to the U.S. as refugees on Monday. Multiple news outlets reported they will now have a pathway to American citizenship. And nothing makes them madder than that. Derek, at this point, you're getting more views than MSNBC. I'm trying. She got a 5 head. I haven't seen any Browns coming across the border waving. You don't see anybody from any other culture that comes across the border illegally. Any culture, Chinese, African, Latin American. You don't see any of these people waving the American flag. In fact, when they get here, they protest Americans deporting them while waving their own home flag. So it's like, I don't know. It's pretty easy to make us happy in America. You kind of assimilate and then you like tell us how cool our country is. And you say, I'm so thankful to be in America. And we're pretty easygoing. I mean, honestly, if you came in with that attitude, I bet even illegally, a lot of people would be like, you know what? He's not that bad. He's not that bad. Okay, let's listen to these people right here.
Trump has virtually halted refugee admission in America for people fleeing war and famine.
I love when the liberal white woman gets angry. Donald Trump has halted.
Trump has virtually halted.
She sounds like she's drunk right here.
Trump has virtually halted refugee admission in America for people fleeing war and famine in places like Sudan and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Back with Rick, Mark, and Eddie. Rick Stengel.
Yes.
Rick, tell us how you feel as a white man. Go.
So deeply and morally wrongheaded and repulsive.
Right. Nothing makes you madder than white people being allowed into this country. Tell us how you really feel.
These are the descendants of the people who created the most diabolical system of white supremacy in human...
Supremacy. It's supremacy. If you say supremacy one more time, I'm going to lose my mind.
Wrong-headed and repulsive. These are the descendants of the people who created the most diabolical system of white supremacy in...
Supremacy.
in human history, apartheid. They're not directly responsible for it, but it was a system that actually moved black people off of the arable land. So they inherited the land that the black people had to give up. It was called forced removal.
Yes, you must pay for the sins of your forefathers.
It was something called a Bantustan policy, where they moved black people out of the cities and farmlands into these remote areas with non-arable land. I mean, it was just one of the most worst processes ever. But what has happened in this strange, bizarre world we're living in is that the Afrikaners have become the darling of these right-wing white supremacist movements around the world.
It's just like you with people from Venezuela. Continue.
That it's like the lost cause for them. It's like the old Confederacy. They're held.
It's like the old Confederacy. That's right. It's literally like the old Confederacy. I look at those people from South Africa and I'm thinking, these people will come into the South and help it rise again.
Held up as these white Christians who are being dispossessed of their land. It's like this is a modern replacement theory in a country where, by the way, white people make up 7% of the population and own 78% of the farmland. So it's actually, there's no injustice here. As you mentioned, it's taking places away.
There's no injustices here. Okay, if you're going to be logically consistent, then you would have to say that there is injustices there. It's like sometimes I wish that these liberals would just be honest sometimes and just be like, you know what? It's not fair that Donald Trump is allowing these white people in, but are kicking out brown people, whatever. And then instead they're like, you know what? Not only are these white people coming in, but their persecution in which they face is fake and they need to just deal with it. What? War and famine are applied to the rich. They gave them all the farmland and kicked all the white people out. Now their farms are gone. Honestly, just take a moment and research what's going on in South Africa. It's pretty crazy. It's a lot of unrest. Even if you go visit there now, I know for a fact that it's very, very dangerous if you're a white person, that you have to take your movements pretty seriously.
From refugees who are really being crushed by authoritarian governments and military governments, for these folks who have never had anything happen to them. I mean, Trump amazingly called it a genocide, one of the worst lies I've ever heard.
Who's being crushed by authoritarian governments? Are we talking only Venezuelans? Or are we talking Hispanic, like Mexican, Colombians, Argentinians, Chinese? Who are we talking about here?
Heard him say there's just been a small handful of farmers that have been killed over.
Yeah, just a small handful of farmers killed. It's only been a few white people, okay? Get over it. It's only been a few of them killed, okay? And that's okay, because this is MSNBC.
Trump amazingly called it a genocide, one of the worst lies I've ever heard him say. There's just been a small handful of farmers that have been killed over the past 10 years. No land has actually been expropriated. So it's just a farce and a sham and a moral ugliness.
What happens now that he's taken this step?
I don't know. I mean, it's like a Batman movie or something where all the bad guys get collected under one roof. I mean, like, who else do you now go and find other racists who have repressed people and give them refugee status here? It's just, I don't know where it goes from here, but I mean, you even said it. It's like a headline
Why does she always look like she's 2 seconds from crying? I don't know.
from The Onion. I don't even know how to get more extreme than this.
You know, I think it's important for us to understand that the Trump administration is a lot of things. But one thing it certainly is a white nationalist project.
What are you talking about?
And oftentimes we don't want to describe it as such. I'm not reducing it to it.
Yeah.
Because
oftentimes we don't want to describe it as such. Therefore, I'm doing it right now. And if you catch me on MSNBC later, I'll do it again. We never want to describe it as such. Yeah, right, dude. You had that queued up and you were ready to go.
there's greed, there's graft, there's all sorts of things happening around it.
Yeah, right.
But we need to understand the way in which great replacement theory is driving this. There's a sense in which the immigration policy is all about demographic shifts. There's a sense around the assault on voting rights and civil rights. It's all about who will have the decision-making power to determine who will run the country.
Yeah.
And here, this idea that the republic must remain a white nation is evidenced in this move, which is so explicit that it cannot be denied. And so when we don't
You can't deny it because he's come to this conclusion.
describe it for what it is, we become, in an ironic way, complicit in what they're doing. It's a white nationalist agenda, it seems to me.
You know what I'm going to ask you? Where are the Democratic voices offering a different
You're the Democratic voices.
message to the world about who America is today, right now, as this is happening?
Look, I think you showed Chris Murphy. I think he's one of the people speaking out. And I think that Democrats are speaking out. I think the problem is that just in the time that we have talked about Donald Trump accepting a $400 million aircraft from a royal family. We have talked about this instance of white nationalism, which I completely agree. I mean, if Donald Trump just didn't want immigrants, you'd have all of the terribleness we have. But it actually turns out he does want some immigrants. He wants the white Christians from South Africa to be immigrants to this country. You began, when we first sat down.
Yeah.
Talking about the rationing of pencils, right?
Literally, like, what, 5 of these? Like, how many? Like 20, 30? I mean, it looked like this looks like about 40 people came across. 40 people or so, 40, 50 people from Africa, and they're like, you know what? Even though millions and millions of people from Mexico, Venezuela, and other countries came across the border, and Donald Trump has deported at least 10,000 or maybe 5,000, who we don't know the number, that's literally a genocide against those came here illegally. It doesn't equate at all. Like 50 people versus millions of people coming here illegally. You think all those people that came here illegally are going to actually be deported? No chance. No chance. No freaking chance. That's so many people. Too many people. Only white South African Christians. Yeah. It's like, that these people are so triggered by these optics. I could just feel it. And nothing gets me more excited than seeing like a white liberal dude dealing with his own white guilt. He can't help himself. It's literally like Donald Trump is pushing a white supremacist agenda. He's going to allow all white people to be the SS and take over. He's going to take over. Yeah, Nick, thanks for holding down the chat. And Yakobet, thanks for holding down the chat on Rumble. Only white South African Christians, Heisenbergs. It's just crazy. What's happening in South America fits the textbook definition of why the refugee program was created, said Miller. This is a race-based persecution. What are your thoughts?